Great to have you back, repeat listeners, as well as any newbies out there that are listening in. Great to have everyone there. You are back with Man to Man, an authentic conversation with the amazing Cedric Edison and myself, Ron Servan. We do have a special guest tonight with us, and we'll get to that in a bit. But just a little brief introduction on our topic around health. Obviously, health is something that we all have in our lives to contemplate how to become healthier, how to change habits, how to do things in our life that allow us to have a more healthier lifestyle. So again, health can be looking at the internal part of you, your personal well-being, your fitness, all aspects of your life, your mental state of mind. So just relax, sit back, and enjoy the conversation, and we will dive into Man to Man, an authentic conversation around the topic of health.
All right, man. Welcome back. Man, this is a special day for me and for Ron for Man to Man, because we have Dan the Man Coven with us today. It's pretty different show today, like what we normally have, because we have Dan, a fellow health coach of ours, friend of ours, and our paths cross. So Dan, I'll just kind of throw you straight in to kind of what we have going. You know, we had an authentic conversation, and now, you know, man, we're so grateful for you to be able to join in and just chat with us tonight. And, you know, we're talking about health again. So real quick, man, like, could you enlighten us? Like, how would you describe health?
That's a good question. Well, first, before I begin here, I wanted to also let you guys know how thrilled I am to be here with you this evening, gentlemen. I've listened to the podcast. I support the podcast. I've met you both in person. So I'm really, really honored to be part of this discussion. So I wanted to let you guys know that first and foremost. And just a second of my background. Again, my name is Dan. I'm a health and lifestyle coach. I live in Huntington Beach, California, and I specialize specifically in working with people who are struggling with weight loss and chronic stress. So I help them to be the very best they can be, and you know, that is my mission in life. So again, thank you, gentlemen. And back to your question, Cedric. You know, health. As far as the word health, the first thing that conjures in my mind is I actually take that word health and I place it into a few different subcategories. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few different categories that I like to put that word into. The first is physical health. Now, physical health can certainly be inward health as well as external health. What I mean by external health is how, you know, physically fit your body is, how healthy in general your body is. And that's, you know, I pretty much make that akin to, you know, exercise regimen and, you know, looking good and, you know, feeling firm and tone. You know, I'm a workout guy. I've got, you know, lean muscle. I've been working out at the gym for years and years. So I've been focusing on that physical health, the external part, for a number of years. The other part of physical would be internal health, guys. It would be what we put into our bodies as far as nourishment goes, micronutrients, macronutrients. We talk a lot about, you know, carbs and high quality fats and fiber and high quality proteins as health coaches. So when it comes to internal physical health, that's what I identify as somebody who's got those two components together, physical, external and internal. Now, the other aspects of health, I would probably put into a category of mental health. You know, somebody who has all of their bearings. And interestingly enough, I think you know, mental health is directly correlated with our physical health. Okay, so having clear acuity and good mental health, of course, is extremely important. And the last would be spiritual health. Now, this would be a being answerable to a higher calling. It doesn't necessarily need to be a religious ideology or a religious deity. For example, for my own spiritual health, I am a very, very big believer in the book and also the teachings of The Secret. So for my spiritual health, I look to the universe. I look to the universe to feed me the information that I need to make good, clear, concise decisions in my life, to ask for different things, to show gratitude on a daily basis, to show thankfulness on a daily basis. So when you ask me what the word health means, I take all of those different components and I mesh them into one: physical, mental, and spiritual health. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, total.
Okay.
Dan, I got a quick follow-up question for you. I mean, what an amazing insight that you brought already to us. So I appreciate that, truly.
Yeah.
But I'm just, thinking about who in your life, because obviously you've got a very, kind of good understanding of what you want, where you are, kind of all different aspects of health. Is there somebody in your life that inspired you to have this mindset today? Or I'd be curious to know kind of where this, kind of this vision and this version of you has come from.
Great question, and I'm glad you asked. I've always been innately very, very attuned to my own personal health. I've always, for the most of my life, I've always listened to my body and what my body needs and what I need to do in order to, be at my optimal, right? But, and I'm glad you asked this question, because the person who really kickstarted this new career for me into coaching, I was in sales and marketing for 25 years, so I'm very accustomed to talking and communication, and to marry those two passions of mine, sales and coaching, couldn't have been a better match for me. But the person who inspired me to really focus in on my health is my wife, and I'll tell you why. I received a phone call in September of 2016, and it was the one phone call that no husband really wants to get, and that was from her telling me that she just got back from her first mammogram, and they got the results back, and they had found some cancer in her left breast.
Wow.
And so at that point, everything kind of started, and so it was just a tumultuous, crazy kind of a time. So going through chemotherapy and radiation, and of course the mastectomy. Those were all things that I supported her through, but I also garnered a lot of good information from, not information, but just her. When you're on chemotherapy and your body is so weak and your immune system is so weak, you have to take certain things into consideration as far as your body goes. And my wife just really did everything she could in order to maximize her own health by changing her diet quite a bit and following certain protocols that our doctor prescribed. So she is my inspiration. She's the one that inspired me to become a coach and to help others in that particular arena.
Wow. Great story there. Appreciate that.
Wow. Thank you for that.
And by the way, she's cancer-free now. So it's been 5 months. And we're still celebrating. She still has a surgery this year, so for reconstructive surgery. So we still have a ways to go, but she is definitely my inspiration.
Hell yeah, I love it.
Guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess Dan, would you got any questions for Ron?
Yeah, no, I do, Ron. I'm so honored to be on this podcast with you, and you and I have talked offline a couple of times. So I'm going to ask you the initial question to you as well. When you picture when you visualize that word health, what in your mind, what in your being, what does that describe? What are some factors that holds for you, that word?
For me, a lot of the points that you stated really resonated with me, so I won't repeat, many of those. But I think for me, what I try to be aware of is really listening to my body, knowing that the health and who we are as far as, the functions that go on within our body, the natural process and the natural, kind of awareness of the body is to, move towards homeostasis, just being very much in line with, all of the proper functions. So when I think about health, I try to really listen into my body and not just from a internal standpoint, but also an external standpoint, and realize my need and desire to be active in my life. So, my physical health is extremely important to me. Being an older 54-year-old father, I want so much to be an active part of my son's life. So my physical health is extremely important to me and has been for many years of my life. Internally, I really work probably harder on the inside of who I am as far as my health and the outside, and just, kind of, as I mentioned earlier, just tapping into the body's natural desire to, kind of flow. And, and one of the things I'm going to be speaking about in the next question is just about challenges around pain. And so for me, health, obviously the things we put into our body, knowing that the body wants to be delivered certain things to optimally run. So I try to be mindful of not casting judgment at times when I guess cheat to a certain extent, where I don't feel like I need to do everything perfect. But I think there is the need to understand, for me to run and operate, in all aspects of my life optimally, I really have to listen into my body and know what it needs, and not think that quick fix of, a candy bar or, a coffee or something on the go that's not necessarily nutritious for me is very important. Dan brought up a good point about just overall, kind of understanding how others in our lives can, kind of be impacted by health. So I try to set the example for my son and my wife by, leading a life of doing what I feel are the right decisions for the most part, to, show them how to live a life, not to tell my son how to be in his life as far as what he should or shouldn't eat. That can be challenging at times. So I try to just do a good job of leading by example and not being that overbearing father that tries to be the health coach type thing in the family, which, can be a little bit more demanding, knowing that I'm in this career, and a little bit more difficult for my wife and my son to, sometimes, fall into what I feel are good or not good decisions in their life. So it's an interesting topic. I think health is very important to me, as you mentioned, Dan, from all aspects, spirituality, internal, external, all those things that bring us into, being the best version of ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, it's interesting too, Ron. I'm only about 10 years younger than you are, so I resonate with a lot of what you're saying as well. But I had another question. What are some things that you do on a daily basis? Even just a couple examples, a Cliff's Notes version on things that you do to ensure that your body and mind are at its optimal peak when it comes to health.
All right, so that's my sweet spot. So my pretty much my day in the morning consists of, drive to work. I do at least a half-hour meditation every day. I've been meditating on a daily basis since March of 2011, and I could spend the next 2 hours speaking to how that has benefited my life in so many ways. And then I do my exercise. So I at least log 10,000 steps a day throughout my day, but I'll do a brisk half-hour, 45-minute walk. So morning time, meditation, walk, exercise, and then I start my day. So I think those, kind of knowing, and now what I've incorporated into more of, kind of an area that I hadn't spent a lot of time is reading. So now I'm kind of adding that to my arsenal, so to grow, my mind, and to understand and to comprehend more things that may be, areas that I can, improve and grow upon. So, 3 big areas that I've added, kind of to my day on a daily basis to really invigorate my day and really give me a lot of groundedness going into whatever the day has in store for me.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that, Ron. Very insightful. I have one last question for you here. I'm wondering, we're in a new year, gentlemen, right? It's 2018.
Hmm.
Okay. So out with the old, in with the new possibilities, new journeys, new goals, new things to look forward to. Ron, what are a couple things that you are looking forward to in this new year when it comes to those three components of health? What are you looking to improve upon? What are you looking to, maybe enhance a little bit?
So I've actually started one of my, I listed a whole, I think, 12 different intentions for 2018. And one of them was to initiate a Tai Chi class. So I can happily say that I've participated the first 2 weeks in a class and really loving that. So I think I've always tried to blend in the mind aspect and the body. So now I'm doing Tai Chi, which obviously blends in meditation with martial arts and movement. And so I think I'm really excited about that. So that's one thing that I've committed to, and feel that that's just going to take my awareness to a whole nother level.
Mm.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So Cedric, you're usually got the boisterous one here. So you've been kind of on the sidelines here. So I know I'm sure when Dan spoke about his wife and what she's gone through, I know you've got a beautiful story as well. But my question to you is, as we've all asked, how would you describe the term health?
Man, yeah, that story did kind of hit home a little bit, and it actually brought me back to the hospital. Um, but for me, now when I think about health and how it's all defined and everything, I would have to say it's it's a state. No, it's more a condition. Um, and what I mean by a condition, and it could be either a not so good condition or a good condition or a great one. And it's almost like how Dan was saying, the internal and external, but it's health to me now applies across all main areas of my life, my spiritual health, financial health, my internal health, like the things I digest through my mouth. Um, so it's a state of all of those conditions at any given time. Um, and the reason I'm there is because I had my own health scare, as the world would say. I mean, it really was, having an aneurysm that's, rupturing, and now you got to have this surgery on your heart at the age of 33. And all the numbers not looking good for you. You come out of there looking at it a totally different way. And I can say fortunately, because I look back and it's brought me to where I'm at now, to which is now my calling. I know is my purpose, to be able to talk to people about becoming the healthiest version of themselves, which means across all aspects of your life. From that story, thing, and I can now say I'm a heart patient, and I gladly wear the title because hey, I look at it like I survived it. And if I can survive that, I can survive anything. So why not try and get out here and tell people about, hey, moving past it, and I can look back and see the things I was doing that weren't the best, and look at everything I've learned at becoming a coach, and now, everything is all on the up and up, and it's a blessing. Then, so
And I think Cedric, I've heard most or even more of that story from you in the past. And I think more of a statement from me is just to keep that story in you alive, because not just from a coaching standpoint, because I think what you can bring to individuals that can connect with your story, that's so powerful. But just, you and I have talked, on the channel and in private about, the journey of getting from here to there, and really valuing and never losing that sight of that experience. So
I love so much that share that story. It never gets old. You keep that alive in your mindset and make that be a tool for you to be, just a very powerful coach, a powerful father, a powerful person in life.
Thank you. And it still feels weird sometimes when it's almost like it just kind of comes out, but after it comes out, it feels weird. I'm like, it's just little me with a heart problem,
Right. Awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, if I can also interject, I also know your story, Cedric. I've listened in, but I also wanted to just kind of share. Guys, we're at the precipice of an amazing revolution, particularly when it comes to health. There's no time in modern history where we have as many options available to us to maintain good health in our lives. There's more products on the market, more so than ever before. There's new equipment for movement and exercise. There's advancements in medical technology that helps with our brain, etc. The list goes on and on. There's no reason why somebody who is really motivated to improve their health or reverse their health, to find different ways in conjunction with their doctor or therapist or a coach or whomever to maintain that balance again. And again, more now than ever. Growing up for me back in the late 70s, early 80s, there were some health, my mom ate, wheat germ and, it tasted like tree bark and some Beneful fiber and things like that. And there weren't a lot of options other than some vitamins and supplements on the market. There was no gluten-free, there was no vegan, there was no keto, there was no paleo, there was none of that, really back then. So with modern technology and all of the advancements in medicine, there's no reason why we can't all, have, be on that road to optimum health. I think it's just so important, particularly with all the pollutants in the air and the toxicities that we're exposed to on a daily basis. But on the flip side of that, real quick, is all these major manufacturers, these huge companies, and the fast food industry. The marketing is very alluring. The advertising is very alluring. And so since we're inundated with thousands upon thousands of advertising and marketing messages, on a daily basis, from our computer screens and from us driving and billboards and whatnot, it can get very tempting to cruise into that McDonald's and grab a Big Mac, rather than, go and get a salad, right? So,
no doubt. Right. So I got a question for you, Dan.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because we have all this stuff out there, and it's so much, like you say, so much easier to grab the things we need to be a healthier us. Could you share with us, like, what's some challenges around health for you, and like, kind of what are you doing to initiate and to change that and initiate and foster change out in the world?
It's a great question, Cedric. I'm glad you asked. When it comes to really anything in my life, I never take a militaristic approach to it. I don't look at it in a hard line kind of a stance. Everything in my life is about balance. So do I still enjoy my occasional sweets and my chocolates? Of course I do. I think it really comes down to looking at health in general, without any kind of judgment, okay? Always looking at things from a curiosity perspective. Wondering, why do I have this craving for a juicy double hamburger when I know really it's a lot of saturated fat, it's not good for me, there's carbs, all these different things. It really comes down to a matter of changing perspective and changing habits. So I struggle with it. I mean, I'm human, I'm fallible just like everybody else. But as long as, and as a coach, I have to walk the walk and I have to talk the talk. It wouldn't make any sense for me to have a client and give them guidance on something if I didn't personally involve myself into that particular activity. So on a daily basis, I try to improve my health slowly but surely. I'm always looking for new information and new technologies when it comes to health, and I always try to adapt that into my life as much as I can without, like I said, without being extremely regimented. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And Ron, I'm wondering about you, really with the same question, because I think it's a great question. Would you kind of mind answering that as well? I'd like to hear your perspective.
Yeah, and I was just going to follow up with you, Dan, on that, because I think kind of what I, at least from a kind of philosophical standpoint, eating is, if you get your fill and you don't feel a sense of hunger, it really doesn't matter what you eat, right? So why not eat the right thing? I mean, we all crave, and I still, grab that piece of pizza or have that piece of cake. And I'm like you, Dan. I don't judge that, but for the most part, if we don't have that sense of the need to eat something, and we put something in our body that makes us feel better, that to me just sounds like the logical thing to do. So it is choices. It's making those decisions. It's meal prepping, all those things that go along with that. So that's my soapbox talk. But for me, kind of a different area, a challenge for me around health, and I'm really becoming more and more mindful of it. So I've had kind of some chronic issues with my neck over the last probably 7 years, and I think it's stemming from, well, I'm almost sure it does stem from a car accident that happened and some whiplash. So over time, I've become more dependent upon over-the-counter pain medication, Aleve, Advil, and I've really run the gambit of trying to look at ways that I could explore to manage it in different ways, from acupuncture to massage to getting an MRI to all the things that go along with that. So kind of where I'm at now, is knowing that there's obviously the negative impacts from those over-the-counter medications, and kind of connecting what I said earlier is really listening more to my body. And, I'm a believer that I can channel energy within myself where there's discomfort, and, making mindful decisions on managing pain in a different way. So I think for me, has been a challenge, and is still kind of a challenge for me in my life. And I kind of push the easy button sometimes just to mask it with, taking some Aleve, and then the pain comes back. So I think, getting back to what I mentioned earlier as well, doing Tai Chi, more movement, kind of moving my body in different ways to, kind of create flexibility, to create, change of direction in, kind of what I do. So I'm not just assuming that there's no holistic way of healing my body. So it's, it's my mindset, it's my physical movement, and it's my knowing that there are much healthier and much more productive ways of managing the pain. So it's a little bit different than eating disorders, obviously, or, choosing that, because I'm a pretty good, I do a pretty good job of overall, eating aspects of my life. But I think my biggest challenge today, if I was to be honest with myself, would be just kind of my willingness and need to kind of manage my pain in a different way.
I guess I have a follow-up to that one.
Okay.
And I guess I would have to ask it, like, if I were telling you that, or no, better yet, what would you tell the future you about this situation?
Mm-hmm. What would I tell myself about say that again? I'm sorry. I think I'm misstepping it. Say it again, Debbie.
Yeah, like if you were to fast forward to a future you,
okay,
how would you tell him or how would you warn him about, your issues on it?
That this could be damaging, vital organs in my body, that I'm not really getting to the root of the issue, and I'm, kind of focusing on, that temporary fix versus, the root of the problem, kind of like life, right? We mask things with other whether it's drinking or, sex, or, I mean, all these other things that we kind of, move away from the initial problem versus getting to the root of it. So I think, I would tell that future Ron would say, figure it out. I mean, don't push the easy button, knowing that there's obvious, reasons out there to avoid, ongoing, medications that are only doing harm than they are doing good. Listen to your body, know that you're better than the pain, and the pain is something that's just a temporary response to something else.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And guys, the more that we're having this conversation, Cedric, it was such a brilliant question, and it really got my creative juices flowing. And Ron had touched on something that indeed is a challenge for me, and it does fit within the parameters of having a healthy lifestyle in general. And for me, one of the things I look forward to working on in 2018 is meditation. It's not something that I've ever really practiced before. I've never really done, yoga or anything to that effect. And, it's interesting because once you have a healthy body and a healthy mind, you kind of want to look for different avenues where you can maintain that, because it feels so good. It feels so good to wake up in the morning and not feel, depressed and grumpy and low energy and everything else. So we've got foods to nourish our bodies, but a lot of times we don't take time out as men to just break away for maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes. It could be a day, and just go into a quiet area, sit down, close our eyes, and breathe, and just meditate for a finite amount of time. I've been starting to do it in over the past few months, and it's just yielded amazing results. That, in conjunction with getting a good night's sleep. It's so important to be able to have a minimum of 7 to 8 hours sleep, and I've always run off of 5 or 6 hours, and but I've been trying to really rest my body, make sure that while I'm in sleep mode that I'm digesting correctly and that my mind is resetting, so when the alarm goes off, I can wake up, I can express gratitude, I can express thankfulness for another day on this planet, and I can go and have a good day. So those are what I want to achieve in 2008. Those are a couple things that I want to work on in 2018. And so I wouldn't call it a challenge, but I would call it a goal, a health goal of mine for the coming year.
Cool.
I like that. Hey, just a quick pause. I've got 5 or 4 minutes left in the meeting time because we started a little bit late. So what we could do is we could stop at after Cedric answers his last question, then I could send out another invite and we can do the last question, or we could stop it at the 2 questions.
So I'm fine with either way.
What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, let's do the 2. I'm having a great time.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and we got 4.5 minutes left, so I'll let Cedric finish up and then we'll just kind of wrap it up at the end.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. So Cedric, question to you. I'd like you to share a challenge around health for you and what you are doing to initiate and foster that change. And I want you to dig deep, because I know, you've had a lot of change in your life. So I want you to really, really dig deep and share with us here.
Man, wow. Damn it, Ron. Man, I have, it seems like I have so many. But right now, the biggest one, man, is stress management. And I know that could probably seem like it's really small, but that's a really big challenge for me right now, because it's a catalyst for so many of the other bad habits that I have. Like I find myself, honestly, with the nicotine, habits and all of that. And it's all from stress. So that's a challenge right now. But honestly, how I'm trying to, well, initiating change, honestly, is just being honest with myself and recognizing my triggers for the stress. And believe it or not, like, and it's an ongoing thing, because I also realized just today from, Mosiah, which is my son's, from his mom, she was like, "What's wrong with you?" Just out of the blue. And I'm like, well, I finally broke down. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm stressing the hell out. I have a kid on the way. And she was like, well, thanks for telling me. And so I realized that I could be more vulnerable to what she may think, because I was going into it, with the old male ego. And, it just created a whole lot of other issues. So now I'm, I'm learning. And so now it's time for me to put into practice, hey, this is the mother of my child. So I need to be able to express my feelings and thoughts to create a healthy environment for my son when he comes here.
Yeah.
And just becoming a champion for stress management and heart health, because that has a lot to do with the heart. So it's weighing heavy on me, and that's been a big thing of mine for all of these years. So now it's like, hell, I just don't want to be there anymore. I don't want to be in that dark space. So shit, I got to do something about it.
Yeah.
And why not just become a champion?
Yep. Great. Well, we are just about out of time. I just want to definitely thank Dan for being on board here. We're going to definitely invite him back. Any last closing comments, guys?
No, I wanted to thank you guys again. I had a great time. I'd love to come back on and talk about another topic. Fantastic. I really appreciate it. Had a great time.
Yeah, man. Hey, I had so much fun, man, just sitting back watching guys. Man, I love it. We appreciate you. Thank you, Dan. Thank the universe for allowing us to even cross paths for this too. I'm getting chills just thinking about how a few short months ago we didn't even know each other, and now here we are, kind of coming together like minds, putting it all together. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you got it.
Awesome. Well, good night, everyone. Namaste to y'all.
Good night. Namaste.
Good night.